CLIMAX by Roberto Doldan.
Hola, bienvenidos a CLIMAX, soy Roberto Doldan. Iniciamos en esta semana el capítulo número 18. En esta ocasión hemos contado con la participación del DJ y productor argentino RDOLDAN, en el cual hacía su presentación unos meses atrás en el sello discográfico de WAFO Music dos tracks, House Life y Summer Beat, género Tech House. Lo tenemos en esta ocasión para que nos cuente un poquito más sobre sus trabajos. Vamos a escucharle.
Hola, ¿cómo están? Soy RDOLDAN, DJ productor de Buenos Aires, Argentina. En este caso comentarles sobre mi track editado en WAFO Music, que es House Life. Yo creo que el house es la base de todo, por lo menos para mi gusto. Y en este caso el nombre va un poco dedicado a eso. Es nuestra vida, o por lo menos mi vida, parte de todo esto, que es la música, el house. Creo que en este caso el track lleva muchas vocales de house, vocales houseeras, como digo yo. Y pienso que, bueno, envuelven todo el track refiriéndose a este ritmo dentro de lo que es también el tech. Bueno, comentarles un poco acerca de mi track editado con WAFO Music, en este caso es Summer Beat. Como bien lo dice su nombre, Summer Beat, bueno, la idea fue iniciada ahí por el verano, en el cual hay una mezcla de sonidos y de ciertos ritmos veraniegos, lo cual conforman un track a mi gusto bastante interesante y bastante movido, así que espero que les guste. Chao, chao.
Ya os estáis fijando, el escenario diferente al que estabais acostumbrados a ver, colorido, sonido ambiente, naturaleza, aire puro, recargue de vitamina D, recargue de energía positiva que buenamente nos hace falta a todos, claro que sí. Bueno, vamos ya con el artista invitado semanal. Se llama MINOTTI, es DJ y productor canadiense. Os voy a dejar con su vídeo presentación porque él mismo ya nos va a comentar un poco sus inicios, su trayectoria, sus producciones, sus trabajos y futuros trabajos. Además, también de hablarnos un poco pues, del set que nos va a presentar en el programa de CLIMAX by RDOLDAN en formato audio, por el cual se transmite en diversas estaciones a nivel internacional de radio. Y bueno, hasta aquí mi parte ha finalizado. Nos vemos para la semana siguiente en el próximo capítulo, próximo invitado y como siempre, más y mejor. Paz y amor a todos y recordar, be yourself. ¡Chao!
Hey everybody, this is MINOTTI from Rabbit Hole Express and Control Machine coming to you live from Canada on the CLIMAX radio show being hosted by RDOLDAN. We're here today in my home studio. This is where most of the magic takes place. As you can see, I've got some hardware laid out here in my production studio. Got a Chord Prophecy, Roland TB3, TR8, I got an MX1, harnessing everything together, an XOX box, got a Red Sound Dark Star over there, and an APC40. I got a JV80 kicking around here, and a couple other little controllers here and there. So most of the magic happens here. I do a lot of my recording live, and then I go back and post-edit my recordings to pick out the happy accidents. Some of the recording I also do over at my partner's place, Mike Graham from Control Machine. We have almost identical studios. We also make use of Ableton. I'm using Ableton Suite 9 for production and mastering. I'll also use Chord Gadget on my iPad to scratch down ideas. I really like that app. It's very portable. I can carry that iPad pretty much anywhere I go. I can produce tracks on there. I can upload stems to Dropbox and send them to Mike. Or if I want, I can actually export complete Ableton project files from Chord Gadget, which we can further develop in Ableton. Chord Gadget's also a really great VST if you want to use it live with Ableton Live. So I've been producing electronic music since around 1992. I was first introduced to it from a DJ friend of mine named Matlock, who was producing hip-hop and house at the time. We were both working at a club called Club 234. I went over to his place one day, and he had a Roland D10 hooked up to an Atari 1040 ST with a little Kawai 4-channel mixer and an Akai S950, which I eventually ended up buying all those pieces except for the D10. I ended up purchasing a Roland JV80 as my first synth, which I still have to this date. Back then I was running sequencer on master tracks on the 1040 ST, which was pretty limited. There wasn't any really no audio recording onto the computer at that time, so most of my recordings were either going to cassette or VHS at that time, as I didn't have an ADAT. So anyways, flash forward, I got into Cubase VST using a PC tower for a bit. I liked that till my tower broke down. And then I took a long sabbatical from writing electronic music from probably around 1996 till 2015. I was busy having kids, starting a career, just, you know, life gets in the way kind of stuff, right? All the stuff that you want to do that you get done. Around 2015, I started producing techno again using none other than an iPad 4. Which I was running Chord Gadget on. I didn't have a lot of gear at that time. I had a couple of pieces. I still had the Chord Prophecy and the JV80, but I didn't really have a PC at that point. So I wrote 2 albums on the Chord Gadget. The first one was Gestation by Rabbit Hole Express, which was released by a Seattle, iOS-based record label called Aptronica. This album was followed by a second ambient electronic album called Ambient Orbits. Around 2016, I met Mike Graham, who became my partner in Control Machine, which is a hardware-based live techno group. We also do quality studio productions and label releases. At that time, Mike Graham had been heavily involved in techno production and remixing of international and Canadian artists. He had worked with Major League Recordings and Splice Vinyl Recordings, Darren Kuyu, and a couple of other labels. I was very fortunate to meet Mike at that time. He was a very seasoned producer, and I learned a great deal from him. He introduced me to Ableton Suite, which had an enormous learning curve. I had noodled with synths for years and years and years, but of course making the jump from Cubase VST to Ableton was a real leap. So he was a great mentor in that respect. Because of Mike, I got introduced to Splice Vinyl Recordings, and my first recording with them was System Error, which appeared on Splice Techno Volume 17. Since then, I have expanded to release my recordings on Insane Code Recordings in Italy, Bishop's Block here in Canada, which belongs to Christian Poulsen, aka Fear the Priest. I had the opportunity to do a release on Major League Recordings with Mike as Control Machine. Also had a release with Purple Ghost Records in Mexico, and Seven's recording label also in Mexico. Also had the opportunity to have some releases on LW Recordings, and most recently a remix that I completed for Kia and Pulse Plant, which was released on Kryptonic Recordings. Come a long way since the Atari 1040 ST. Really love working on music still. I will be turning 50 this year, and I can't see myself slowing down at any point. I've had some pretty good success over the last couple of years. One of the tracks that I remixed for Pulse Plant, What You Wanted, appeared on Warehouse Techno, which went to #1 on the techno release chart on Beatport. More recently, I had a original recording that I completed called Accelerator, which went to #2 on the Beatport techno releases. So I'm really proud to have made those accomplishments and to have had the opportunity to meet many international and domestic producers which work for all the labels that I have already discussed. So for today's mix, I'm going to be introducing a new track. It's actually a debut EP by my friend Robert Turpin under the name Touch Circle. The EP will debut as Dementia and will feature remixes by myself, Mike Graham, Upper Regions, and Kia. So we'll be looking forward to that release on Beatport very shortly, and you'll have a chance to preview that today. We'll also be hearing from Papolino. I completed a remix for him recently, which will be released under the EP Specialistic, with remixes by Tony Romanello, Pulse Plant, and Upper Regions. We'll also be featuring an original track by my duo Control Machine called Snow Snake, as well as another original Rabbit Hole Express track called Totem. Both of these can be found on the Splice Vinyl Recordings release Splice Techno Volume 44. We'll be working our way through the techno onto a producer coming out of Ottawa by the name of Abe Van Dam, and I will be playing his track And Once Again, which is one of my all-time faves. We'll be moving on to a track by a Belgian producer, Demonta, another friend of mine who is producing some really fantastic techno in Chord Gadget at the moment. His track 76766 will be part of the mix. We'll be transitioning to a track by Joaquim L called Momentum, which was remixed by Hamilton's own Justin Rogers, followed by Mexico City's Kia and Splice Vinyl recording label boss Pulse Plant, who collaborated to produce the track Intertwined, which I was also privileged to remix for Kryptonic Records. Further down the rabbit hole, we reach my latest remix of Pineal Gland by Tank Hamun, and a remix of TKNO for a track called Blessed. Rounding off the set will be my remix of Strength in Mind by Kia, and a real acid banger which was recently produced by DJ Kurt called The Strike 8081. I'll be finishing off the set with one of my all-time fave tracks by Fear the Priest called Sex Ed. I hope you enjoy the show. Hope you're all staying safe. Remember, we're all in this together, and I hope we all pull through. Peace.